Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to some more programming. We just finished Halloween, so let us keep it a bit spooky. There's a spooky JPA exception that we are trying to hunt in this episode right here. So let's just get started. This is a Spring Boot project, so I have created this by pressing File, New Projects. I've used the Spring Boot initializer right here. I've chosen Java and actually Java 23, and then I've chosen Gradle right here, Gradle, yeah, and then I press Next. Then I've added the web module, and then I've added H2 database right there, and then I've added the JPA, the Spring database, the Spring Data JPA right here. I've added that module also, and then I've also added Lombok, and that is how I got this project right here. So now let us dig into the spooky the spooky JPA exception and how to avoid it in the future. So I've created one alien right here. It is an entity, as you can see right here. It has an ID and which has a generated value. So that means that the JPA will figure out how to generate this value by itself. It would not use a sequence. It would just generate it automatically by itself. It will take the largest number and then add one. So this is an integer and it's an ID right here. So then we have the name of the alien right here, and then we have the age of the alien, and then we have the origin of the alien, and then we have then the alien has some skills. So the origin of the alien, this is an enum right here, and then we have then we have the skills right here, which is a join, because we have a many-to-many relation between the skills. One alien can have multiple skills, and those skills can actually be the same across multiple aliens. So that is why it's many-to-many. And here we are creating the joint table on the alien side. If you don't know whether you should create your joint table on the alien side or on the skill side, then you can think about when you will use this and when you will store your entity. Will you usually do that by storing the alien, or will you do that by storing the skill and then add the alien to that list? And where will you have the least number of entities? And that is in the most situations. Then one alien might have like 2 or 3 skills. But one skill, let's say that we have a lot of aliens, then one skill can actually be applied to maybe thousands of aliens, right? So that is why we want the joint table on the alien side and not on the skill side. It's simply, it performs much better. You don't have to fetch out all of the aliens that is attached to one skill to update it and to create a new relation between a skill and an alien. You can just fetch out an alien that has a couple of skills, and then you can add a new skill to that, and then you can store, and then you can save your entity, and then that relation has been made. So that is why we want the joint table on this side and not on the skill side. Let us go. We are using a set always. If you're in any doubts when you are playing around with the entities, if you don't know, should it be a list or should it be a set? Always use a set, because then you would then you would not fall into the trap with cannot fetch multiple back exception or something like that. It's a really annoying one. I've made another video on that one. So instead, use a set. If the order does not matter, then use a set. If the order does matter, then use your query to determine the order instead. So here we have the skill now, private set skill, and we have a lot of annotations, of course. You should never overwrite the equals and hash code, because then the JPA will be confused and you can get some really weird results. So don't do that. But you can create getters and setters if you want to. You can also have the builder pattern from Lombok. That's also fine. You can also have the automatically created the required Args constructor. That means that then we will get a then if we had a private final field, then we would have a constructor that matched that. We can also have the all args constructor. That's always a good idea. So that's it. Let us go to the skill. This is an entity right here, so we'll go to the skill entity. Again, we have an ID. It has a generated value. Then we have a skill name right here, and then we have the many-to-many relation to the aliens. We do not want to map this again, because it has already been mapped on the alien side. So we will just say that this has already been mapped, and the member variable that maps it is skills, but of course on the other side. So whenever you say map by, that means that it has been mapped by the other side. And in this situation, it's alien. So if I go here to alien, then I can see I have a member variable named skills right here. So that is how it works. So you should only map your many-to-many, or also your many-to-one for that matter, on one side. But you can still make a reference to it on the other side, so you easily can select the aliens that has a certain skill, for instance, like in the situation right here. You should actually always have both sides of the both sides of the relation, because it just makes life much easier when you're programming. Of course, you should not add you should not add an automatic to string generator, because then you would have an infinite loop, because the alien will then try to print out all of the skills, and the skill will then try to print out the same alien, etc., etc., etc. But that is another story. So now we have an alien that has some skills. We have made a repository for each entity, which is also a good practice. Always create a repository. Of course, if you don't need it, then you should not create it, the repository, but usually you would need it, because we need to create skills at some point, and then we need to attach that skill to the alien, and we will do that on the alien side. So that means that we will do that on the alien entity. Then we'll use the alien repository, which is right here. And on this alien repository right now, here is what will generate the error. Spoiler alert. We want to fetch some aliens right here. And when we are fetching something from the alien entity, then we want automatically to fetch out the skills, and we also want to fetch out the origin of the alien. You might always know, maybe you can already see now what the problem is, but we want this extra data fetched out right away. We don't want to have it lazy loaded or lazy fetch. You should never add, I would say your best practice, and again, this is my opinion, that you should never have any fetch strategy attached or annotated on your on your relations, because you will actually set that if you want to have some data out, if you want to have some more data out, like the skills, then you would determine that in your repository inside your query. On your query, you will actually say that you also want to have the skills selected, and you also want your origin selected. In this situation, I will not say too much, then I will ruin the surprise now, because we will get a spooky error. It has almost been Halloween, right? So we have an alien controller where this is a REST controller, where we are exposing all of our aliens that we have right here with the /aliens endpoint. But Mike, we have not created any aliens into our database. Yes, we have, but because I've not shown you this bean yet right here. We have this component on startup bean right here. And here we are using at post construct. I could also use the at application listener, application event listener, and then on application start. Then we could have done the same. It depends on when you want your default data to be created. Do you want it when the application is up and running and everything is fine, or do you want it as soon as this bean right here has been created? And in my situation, I want that in this situation right here. That means that my data will be created before my application starts up, and that is really good for test purposes. So here I have my post construct, and I've just named my method init. I could have named it whatever I wanted to, and here we have some skills. So I'm creating some new skills, running and jumping right here. So I'm creating 2 skills, and I'm only creating 1 alien, which is enough to trigger the exception. Of course, we could have had thousands of aliens right here. The alien right here is humanoid. It's 30 years old, and the name is Mike. And the skill set is right here, set of running and jumping, and you can see right here these skills have been persisted first. This means that they will actually have an ID and have a relation to the database. So that means that when I set them right here, then then the alien will actually get related to those skills right here when I save the alien. Okay, so that is quite cool. Now let us start our application. I've cheated a bit and I've already started it, so we don't have to wait for that. And I've already typed in localhost 8080 and then aliens. And let us press enter and see what happens now. We got a status 500. Ooh, that's a spooky. Ooh, this is very spooky. Status 500 internal server error. Oh, no. What should we do? Should we run? Should we hide? What should we do? The fighter or flee instinct is triggered, or is it? Because let us actually analyze and then see what to do instead of just panicking. Good idea, Mike. Okay, so what does the backend say? First of all, what kind of error do we get? Class cast exception. Okay, basic attribute mapping cannot be cast to, and then we get a table group joiner producer. So we got this weird one right here. Cannot cast to class table group joiner producer. What is this weird exception? As soon as you see something with this and basic attribute mapping and table group join producer, then the first thing you need to do is actually to go and look at your attributes. So you are actually pointed in the right direction with this part right here, basic attribute mapping right here. So let us go look at our attributes. We will go to the alien. And we can see also when is the error triggered actually. So that is, of course, that is the first step. We go to our controller. So this is when we try to fetch the aliens. We can actually start up our application. So JPA thinks that everything is fine when we start it up, but when we run our query, then we get an error. So this query right here, is there anything fishy right here? Yes, there is actually something fishy. If I go look at my alien right here, of course, you could actually go and delete one line at a time. And then when you delete the line or comment out the line regarding origin, then you'll find out that suddenly your query works and everything is fine. So why, how come we get this weird error then? This is because this is an enum, alien origin. It is not an entity. When you mention something in your queries, it needs to be enum. It needs to be entities, not enums, for instance. Here we have the enum bear, squid, fish, or humanoid. And since we are mentioning that in our query, then we will get this weird error where it says table group join produce error, this very spooky and scary error, basic attribute mapping error. In our queries, we should only mention other entities. And it is also good practice only to mention, only to join stuff together that is actually joined through the member variables right here. It is possible to join a lot of weird stuff together, but only join stuff that is already where you have determined the relation on the entity already. Let's say that you actually need to join the alien with something else than skills, but you only need to do this in a specific situation. Maybe the alien needs to be on board of the spaceship. Then you could actually create another alien type, another alien entity that actually points to the same table. So you can actually have multiple entities that points to the same table, but where they have specific different purposes. This is not very normal, and you should of course avoid it. You should have an entity that actually covers your purpose and it covers your data model. It's probably because you have misunderstood something or your data model is wrong. But sometimes you would actually have an alien. You would have an entity for the same table more than once because you have specific situations where you want something, where you want to use JPA in another way. Then you can do that by creating extra aliens or extra entities, and then just let them point to the same table. Okay, so but not enough about that. Let us see if the error has been fixed. So now I just deleted left join fetch from the origin, and then the question is, but do we get the origin, or will we just or what is the issue right now? So let us go and we will press refresh now. Yes, we got the origin. It's humanoid right here. So this is the data now. We got an ID, Mike, and then we have the humanoid right here. We have the skill name, jumping, and aliens, and we are getting a lot of these. I think we are, we are getting a lot of these right here. Pretty print, yes, please pretty print it. Refresh. So something fishy is actually happening, but now it actually works. The query works, and we will actually get a result, and that is because we fixed the error. We have an origin right here, and we have the alien skills right here. So that means, how should we solve this in the future so we don't get this problem once again? You should actually name your entities. You should actually postfix those with entities. And again, this is my own way of dealing and handling with this entity. Oh, let's say we will say entity like this, skill entity. So now I've renamed the skill to skill entity, and I will also rename alien to entity, because this means that when I am creating, when I am tired and I sit and create these queries right here, then I will now know that this is an entity right here, and of course the name of the skill entities like this. So you should also name your member variable should also be renamed like skill entities, but it did not do that right here. Yes, like that. Thank you very much. So you should also rename your member variables like this. Then you know also if you want to search for an entity in your workspace, then just press Control N. Then you can just write entity, and now I'll get a list of all of my entities right here. I find this really, really useful, and I know there are some developers that don't like postfix and prefixes. I actually really like them. It makes it much easier for me when I have to find something. Of course, I use Control E a lot. That is the look into the files that I've been playing around with the latest. So Control E is the one that I use the most. But also Control N, then I can find a repository. Let's say I want to find a repository. Because I have named my repositories with something with repository, then I can easily find them again. The same with controller. Let's say that I want to find a REST controller. You can see here I have a spaceship controller, and I also have a alien controller right here. So it's just much easier if you postfix your stuff. If you have some kind of system to your programming, then you would save a lot of time in the long run. And you also saw how the enum actually works with the alien entity right here. It will actually take the name of the enum, and then it will replace that. So we will actually see it right here as a string. You see origin right here is humanoid, and that is how it will be converted back to the enum also. So that means that if you're posting something to your REST controller, then you just post the name of your enum instance right here. So of your enum item. Yeah. And so that is how that works. I've done something weird since I'm getting all of these aliens right here. What did I do? Well, let me just check on startup. Skill entities right here. So now we have some errors because the refactoring did not go that well, but that is okay. So right here we're storing these aliens right here. We have the one alien with 2 skills. Let us try to create another get mapping right here. We'll say aliens standard. We'll say this is a alien standard. So here we'll just use the find all. And here we'll say find all. And then it will be converted into so let's do this. And then we can now we can actually reach the endpoint alien standard. Let us try that instead, and let us see kind of response we actually get. I mean, I should actually always use debug. There's no reason for using the run application. I should always use debug application. You cannot see it performance-wise, and if I want to set a breakpoint, then it's just nice to have the debug option. I think I might actually make a video about that because there's a lot of confusion about play and debug. When will you use debug? When will you use play? The short answer is you will always use debug. So standard. Right here. See, this is a little bit weird because let's press F12 so we get the network response right here. Press refresh. So here we have the standard document, the response. Let's see what we actually get. Yes, look what you actually. So now this is what I actually talked about before. This is because it is converted to JSON. So this means that it will actually it's an infinite loop, but then of course there's some kind of failsafe in it, so it actually stops at some point. So this is the infinite loop that I talked about just before. So what we will do, we will go to. Of course, you should never expose and return your entities out to the REST controller. That's actually the main error that I did right here. But you could also do something like this: JSON ignore. So if you add this one right here, then my skill will be returned, but it will not try to create JSON out of the alien again. And then we have that. That's why we have that infinite loop right now. Jackson, which is the framework and library that it tries to convert whatever we return in our controller right here. That's called Jackson. It will see, okay, there's an alien. Let me try to convert that into JSON, and I'll do that by taking each of the member variables. And then I will convert it into JSON. It will also take the set of the skills right here. And then it'll go to skill. Then it will try to take all of the aliens, and then it will convert that into JSON as well. And then it continues, right? Then we have the infinite loop. But if you add JSON ignore like this, or if you just create DTOs like a normal person would do. This is for demo purposes. That's why I was a bit too lazy to create the DTO and then the map struct mapper to map it correctly. But just use JSON ignore if you end up in this situation and if you're doing a demo. So let me just refresh the page again. So now we only get one. We only get one alien. That's Mike right here, and we have some skill entities right here. ID 1 skill name running, and ID 2 skill name jumping. That is quite good. I could have added a lot of stuff right here. If it should be something that resembles real life, then of course this should be body age right here. That it could be 25. A real age should be maybe 40 something, but body age 25. And then we have the skills. The skills would just take up all of the space on this page right here. Even if I chose the smallest font available, we would just have dancing. We would have comedy. We would have all of the skills that I've built up into all of these years. And of course, it is a lot. I'm not sure. Maybe our Java application, we would have to assign extra memory to it because it might run out of memory. Maybe the browser would get in trouble to show for showing a page that is too long because of all the skills that I have right here. But this is just a demo, so I just assigned myself with 2 skills. I hope you understand that. Instead of 2 billion skills, then I just assign myself 2 skills. Thank you very much for all of your comments, and thank you very much for watching this video. And as usual, you can find the code on GitHub, so it's publicly available there. So thank you very much for all of your nice comments, and thank you very much for liking, subscribing, and hope to see you again very soon. Bye bye.